Someone deliberately buried Göbekli Tepe. Not abandoned, not destroyed. Buried. The entire complex covered with dirt, tons of it, carefully placed, intentionally concealing massive stone temples that had stood for 3,000 years. Temples built by people who supposedly hadn't developed agriculture, hadn't formed cities, hadn't invented writing. Yet they carved 20-ton pillars, erected circular structures, created intricate reliefs of animals and symbols. Then, for reasons unknown, they filled it all in, covered it completely, and walked away. Göbekli Tepe sites on a hilltop in southeastern Turkey, near the Syrian border. The site was identified in the 1960s, but not excavated until 1995. When archaeologist Klaus Schmidt began digging, he found something that shouldn't exist: stone circles, massive T-shaped pillars arranged in rings. The largest pillars stand 5.5 meters tall, weigh 10 to 20 tons, carved from limestone bedrock, transported uphill, erected without metal tools, without wheels, without draft animals, because this was built 1,100 years ago, before any of those technologies existed. The site contains at least 20 circular structures. Only 5 have been fully excavated. Each circle has 2 central pillars, taller than the rest, surrounded by smaller pillars forming a ring. The pillars aren't plain stone. They're covered with carvings: foxes, snakes, scorpions, vultures, gazelles, wild boar, lions, all rendered with skill, detail, artistic sophistication. Some pillars show human arms, hands, clothing elements, as if the stones represent stylized human figures, standing, watching, witnessing something. The symbolism is consistent across structures, but its meaning is lost. We don't know what these animals represented, why they were chosen, what story they tell. The vultures appear frequently, often near human skulls, suggesting death, funerary practices, sky burial. But this is speculation. The builders left no written explanation, no context, just stone and carvings and questions. What makes Göbekli Tepe revolutionary is its age. 1,100 years ago, the Neolithic Revolution hadn't occurred. Agriculture was just beginning. Hunter-gatherer groups were supposedly small, mobile, surviving day to day. Yet they built this. Monument construction requires organization, labor coordination, thousands of work hours, specialists, planners, leadership, resources. How did mobile hunter-gatherers achieve this? Where did they get the surplus food to support non-productive workers? How did they organize the effort? The traditional narrative says agriculture came first. Surplus food allowed specialization. Specialization enabled civilization. Cities, temples, art, a linear progression. Göbekli Tepe reverses this. Temples came first. Agriculture followed. Schmidt proposed that religion drove the Neolithic Revolution, that communal building projects required more food, that need motivated agriculture. People settled, farmed, not for survival initially, but to support the temples, to maintain the ritual sites, the spiritual centers. This theory is controversial, but it fits the evidence. Göbekli Tepe predates agriculture in the region. Botanical evidence shows wild grains, not cultivated crops. Animal bones are from hunted species, not domesticated livestock. Yet thousands of people must have participated in construction, gathering for rituals, ceremonies, events that required coordination across vast distances. What brought them together? What belief system justified this effort? The site was used for approximately 3,000 years. Multiple construction phases, structures built, used, then deliberately filled in, and new ones erected on top. This pattern repeats, circle after circle, each generation building their own, then covering the previous one. Why? Was each structure meant for a specific purpose, a limited time, after which it had to be retired? This isn't typical religious architecture. Most temples last centuries, renovated, expanded, but Göbekli Tepe's builders preferred burial and renewal. Then around 8,000 BCE, the entire site was buried. Permanently, every structure, filled with dirt, stone tools, animal bones, broken pottery, everything covered, the hilltop smoothed over, made to look natural. This wasn't gradual abandonment. This was intentional concealment. Someone wanted Göbekli Tepe hidden, preserved but inaccessible. Why? Some researchers propose environmental change. The region experienced climate shifts, cooling, drying, making habitation harder. People moved away. Before leaving, they buried their sacred site, protecting it, ensuring it wouldn't be desecrated, defiled. This explanation is logical, practical, but it doesn't fully satisfy, because burial wasn't simple covering. It was methodical, careful. Someone spent considerable effort filling every space, smoothing every surface. This goes beyond protection. This is erasure. Others suggest ideological shift. The belief system that created Göbekli Tepe evolved, changed. The old ways became obsolete, dangerous even. New religions emerged, demanding the old sites be eliminated, not destroyed. That might anger the old gods, but buried, contained, sealed away. This happens in religious transitions. New faiths bury the symbols of old ones. Christianity built churches over pagan temples. Islam preserved but concealed pre-Islamic sites. Göbekli Tepe's burial might reflect similar dynamics. A spiritual revolution that required hiding what came before. The timing is significant. 8000 BCE. This period saw rapid development, agriculture spreading, settlements growing, social complexity increasing, pottery emerging, animal domestication beginning. The world was changing, fast. Göbekli Tepe represented the old world, the pre-agricultural past. As society transformed, perhaps the ancient temples became embarrassing. Primitive, a reminder of what people had been. Burial allowed progress, forgetting, moving forward without the weight of the past. But there's another possibility, that Göbekli Tepe wasn't a temple, it was an experiment. The carvings, the structures, the arrangements, all part of something more complex, more purposeful. The site sits at the northern edge of the Fertile Crescent, where agriculture emerged, where humans first cultivated wheat, barley, lentils, the cradle of civilization. What if Göbekli Tepe was connected to this transformation? Not just religiously, but practically, scientifically even. Recent research suggests Göbekli Tepe might have been a gathering place for knowledge exchange, different hunter-gatherer groups converging, sharing information about plants, animals, weather patterns, seasonal migrations, stone tool techniques. This would explain the diverse animal carvings, each representing a different group's totem, identity marker. The structures served as meeting halls, neutral ground where traditionally competitive groups could cooperate, exchange ideas. This cooperation accelerated knowledge accumulation, including agricultural knowledge. The site's layout supports this. The circular structures aren't random, they're positioned deliberately. Alignments to celestial bodies have been proposed but not confirmed. Some pillars point toward specific stars, constellations, suggesting astronomical observation, tracking seasons, predicting climate. This knowledge was crucial for early agriculture, knowing when to plant, when to harvest, when to expect rain. Göbekli Tepe might have been an observatory, a calendar, a place where shamans or wise elders studied the sky and taught others. The animal symbolism could represent astronomical knowledge encoded in mythology. Many ancient cultures used animals to name constellations, mark celestial positions. The snake might represent a specific star pattern, the vulture another, the scorpion a third. The carvings aren't just art, they're a system, a language, preserving information in stone because writing didn't exist yet. Future generations could read the stones, learn the patterns, continue the observations. If this interpretation is correct, Göbekli Tepe was humanity's first university, a place of learning, teaching, knowledge preservation. Different groups brought their wisdom, combined it, tested it, refined it. This collaborative effort produced the agricultural revolution, not accidentally, but through systematic experimentation, trial and error, shared learning. Göbekli Tepe was the laboratory where civilization was invented. Then it was buried. Why would anyone bury a university? A knowledge center? Perhaps because the experiment succeeded. Agriculture worked. People settled. Cities formed. The old gathering place became unnecessary. Each settlement had its own knowledge keepers, its own specialists. Centralized learning gave way to distributed expertise. Göbekli Tepe's purpose was fulfilled. Its burial marked graduation, humanity moving on from its educational origin. Or perhaps the burial was suppression. The knowledge at Göbekli Tepe was dangerous, too powerful, too disruptive. Early agricultural societies developed hierarchies, elites, ruling classes. Knowledge is power. If everyone had access to astronomical understanding, agricultural techniques, advanced stoneworking, then power couldn't be concentrated. Elites couldn't emerge. Burial of Göbekli Tepe might have been an early form of censorship, restricting knowledge to maintain social control. This sounds conspiratorial, but it fits patterns we see throughout history. Knowledge suppression happens, libraries burned, texts banned, teachers silenced. If agricultural elites recognized that Göbekli Tepe's open knowledge exchange threatened their authority, they had motive to bury it, literally and figuratively. By 8000 BCE, social stratification was developing. Evidence exists of wealth differences, status symbols, elite burials. These early hierarchies would want to control knowledge, monopolize it. Göbekli Tepe's egalitarian knowledge sharing would be intolerable. Do you believe the burial was protection or suppression? The evidence allows both interpretations. We know the site was deliberately covered. We know this required massive effort. We know it was done carefully, completely, but we don't know why. Schmidt believed it was religious, ritual burial of sacred space. Others argue it was practical, climate change forcing abandonment. Some propose ideological shift, new beliefs replacing old. And now the possibility of knowledge suppression, elites controlling information. The site remained buried for 10,000 years, forgotten. A mound on a hilltop, locally called Potbelly Hill because of its shape. Farmers worked the land, never suspecting what lay beneath. In 1963, an archaeological survey identified it as potentially significant. But resources were limited. Turkey had many ancient sites. This one seemed minor. Just another tell. A raised mound formed by centuries of occupation, common across the Middle East. Klaus Schmidt changed that assessment. When he began excavation in 1995, he immediately recognized the significance, the stonework, the scale, the age. He spent the next 2 decades uncovering Göbekli Tepe, revealing its structures, publishing findings, challenging archaeological orthodoxy. He died in 2014. The work continues without him. Less than 5% of the site is excavated. Most remains buried, as it has been for 10,000 years. What else lies beneath? The excavated structures are impressive, but they might not be the most important. Often the most significant findings come from unexpected places. Secondary structures, storage areas, refuse pits. These reveal daily life, practical activities. Context. Göbekli Tepe's everyday spaces remain covered. When excavated, they might answer crucial questions. Who built this? Where did they come from? How did they live? What did they eat? How was labor organized? Ground-penetrating radar has mapped additional structures, at least 15 more circles, potentially dozens beyond those, each requiring years to excavate properly, decades before the full site is revealed, if ever. Some archaeologists argue against complete excavation. Preservation is difficult. Exposure to weather damages stone. Tourism brings wear. Better to leave most buried, protected by the same dirt that concealed it for millennia. Study what's accessible. Protect the rest for future generations. For better technology, better techniques. This creates a paradox. We want answers, but getting them risks destroying evidence. Archaeology is destructive. Once excavated, a site can never be returned to original condition. Context is lost. Relationships between objects are broken. What's removed can be studied, but what remains in place preserves information that removal would eliminate. Göbekli Tepe forces us to choose knowledge now or preservation for later. There's no perfect answer. The site has already changed how we understand human history, proven that complex construction predates agriculture, that religious motivation can drive social organization, that hunter-gatherers were capable of sophisticated planning. These revelations rewrite textbooks, but they also generate more questions. If Göbekli Tepe is 11,600 years old, if it represents advanced social organization, what came before? Are there older sites waiting to be found, or already found but misidentified? The burial means Göbekli Tepe is uniquely preserved. Most Neolithic sites degraded over millennia. Stone was reused, structures collapsed, wind and rain eroded what remained. But Göbekli Tepe was protected, sealed away. When we uncovered it, we found original surfaces, intact carvings, structural relationships preserved. This accidental time capsule offers a window into the past unmatched by sites that weathered exposed. Was the burial intentional preservation? Did the builders understand they were creating a record, ensuring future generations could learn about their world? If so, this represents remarkable foresight, historical consciousness, awareness that the present becomes the past, that knowledge can be lost, that preservation requires deliberate action. These are sophisticated concepts, not usually associated with Neolithic people, but the evidence suggests exactly this level of thinking. The experiment wasn't just agricultural, or architectural, or astronomical, it was civilizational. Göbekli Tepe was humanity experimenting with organization, cooperation, knowledge sharing, building something larger than individual survival, creating legacy. And when the experiment concluded, when its lessons were learned and applied, it was buried, not discarded, not destroyed, preserved, hidden, waiting for a time when we could understand what it meant, what it taught, what it represents. Perhaps we're still learning those lessons, still excavating not just the site but its significance. Every discovery at Göbekli Tepe challenges assumptions, forces reconsideration, opens possibilities, and most remains buried, protected, reserved. When future archaeologists excavate with tools we can't imagine, techniques we haven't developed, what will they find? What will they understand that we missed? The ancient experiment continues, not in doing, but in revealing, layer by layer, question by question, truth emerging from deliberate concealment. If mysteries of human origins and lost knowledge intrigue you, subscribe to Veiled Origin. Your support helps uncover what history buried. This is Veiled Origin, where experiments end and understanding begins. The question of who buried Göbekli Tepe matters. If it was the original builders, that suggests preservation, ritual closure. But if it was later people from a different culture, that suggests suppression, erasure. The burial method might tell us which. The fill material contains artifacts dating to 8,000 BCE, same period as the site's final use, suggesting burial happened soon after abandonment. The people who buried it knew what it was, had used it. This wasn't hostile destruction. It was methodical decommissioning. The care taken is significant. Structures weren't just covered, they were filled, every cavity, every space between pillars, packed with dirt. This prevented collapse, protected the stones. If the goal was simple concealment, burial could be haphazard, but the method used suggests preservation intent. Some pillars show intentional defacement before burial, carvings chipped away, smoothed over, not vandalism, systematic alteration. Specific symbols were targeted, while others remained intact. This selective editing suggests ideological motivation. Certain images became unacceptable, but the structures themselves remained valuable enough to preserve. What symbols were erased? We can't know. Only tool marks remain. What we can't see might have been the most important element, the key to understanding, and someone deliberately eliminated it. Knowledge control, censorship in stone. Modern parallels exist. Soviet authorities removed Trotsky from photographs. Egyptian pharaohs erased predecessors. Religious reformers destroyed pagan imagery while preserving structures. Göbekli Tepe's selective defacement fits this pattern, controlling historical narrative by controlling evidence. The agricultural revolution context matters. Göbekli Tepe's burial coincides with agriculture spreading, villages becoming permanent, hierarchies forming. Hunter-gatherer egalitarianism had to be replaced with stratification. Göbekli Tepe represented old values, communal effort, shared knowledge. Burial might have been ideological house cleaning. This interpretation positions Göbekli Tepe as revolutionary. If it was a place of shared learning, open knowledge, its existence proves these systems worked. But this edges toward conspiracy thinking. More likely, slow excavation is practical. Resources are finite. Preservation is difficult. This is responsible archaeology. Yet the question lingers. What does Göbekli Tepe represent? Temple, knowledge center, observatory, laboratory, social experiment? The builders left no explanation, just stones and symbols. We interpret based on our frameworks. Maybe we see temples because we expect religious motivation. Maybe we miss the science because we assume ancient people lack systematic thinking. The T-shaped pillars are unique, not found elsewhere from this period. Why this shape? The T could represent simplified human figures, arms outstretched, or it could be symbolic, balance, duality, or purely functional. The T shape provides structural stability. Multiple explanations can be correct. Ancient builders thought in layers, practical and spiritual intertwined. This holistic thinking appears throughout. The circular structures, rings, cosmos, but also practical. Good acoustics. Equal participation. The animal carvings, symbolic, but also educational. Teaching identification, behavior. Practical knowledge encoded in spiritual imagery. Modern specialization fragments knowledge. Science, religion, art, separate domains. But this fragmentation is recent. For most of human existence, knowledge was unified. Shamans were healers and astronomers and storytellers. Göbekli Tepe might represent this integration, where spiritual and practical weren't opposed but complementary. The burial then becomes tragic, not just hiding a site, hiding a worldview. Agriculturalism required specialization, division of labor, division of knowledge. Göbekli Tepe's integrated approach became obsolete, so it was buried, physically, conceptually. Except it survived, the burial preserved it. Now we excavate, rediscover, try to understand. But we approach with specialized minds. Each discipline its piece, missing the integration that might have been the point. Unless we can think holistically, see connections, recognize that the experiment was synthesis. Should we excavate more or leave it buried? Both choices have consequences. Excavation risks damage, but provides knowledge. Burial ensures preservation, but denies access. Perhaps excavate slowly, carefully, partially. Study what's revealed. Protect what remains. Accept that some questions won't be answered in our lifetime. The continuing experiment of understanding what our ancestors created and why they chose to hide it. If deliberate burial and lost experiments fascinate you, subscribe to Veiled Origin. Your support helps excavate questions others leave buried. This is Veiled Origin, where intentional forgetting becomes reluctant remembering.